Nice crowd. Thank you all very much for joining us today. I think most of you know who I am, Bob Vertabedian, president here at Missouri Western. Greatly appreciate your presence. I'm going to make a few quick introductions before, of course, I introduce the governor. We have a number of elected officials here today, and a few others may have arrived that I'm not aware of, but I'll let you know of the ones that I'm aware of. Representative Pat Conway. Where's Pat? Pat, raise your hand. Don't be shy. Thank you, Pat. Okay. We have, I don't believe Galen Hickton is here unless he arrived after I left the room, but we do have Senator Dan Hegeman. There's Dan. Thank you for being here. Mayor Bill Faulkner. Mayor Faulkner, thank you, sir. Although not an elected official, certainly worthy of an introduction is Bruce Woody, our city manager. There's Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. Now is Presiding Commissioner Harry Roberts here? There's Harry. Thanks for joining us, Harry. And then now Ron Hook. Did Ron Hook, was he able to make it? He was on our list? Okay. Did I miss any other elected officials? If I did, my apologies. Okay, Dwight Scroggins, also an alum. I was reading about you in our history. Dwight, and not only is he here today, which we greatly appreciate, he's an alum, and he was Student Government Association president, I believe, in 1970 as a mere child. Okay, well, thank you. So it's particularly great to have Dwight here. We also have board members here. We have Dave Lichty, who's the vice chair of our board. We have Dirk Clark, who's the former chair of our board. And finally, we have Al Purcell, board member. So we greatly appreciate all of you being here, but I do like to recognize elected officials and board members. So thank you very much for joining us. Well, it's hard for me to believe, but I've been here since 2008, a little over 7 years. And Governor Nixon, Jay Nixon, became the 55th governor of this state just a few months after I arrived here. And it's so nice to have him back. As I've commented a number of times before, I've been at about 7 different universities in my checkered career, and seldom did we ever see a sitting governor. And in my 7+ years here, I believe he's been on our campus about a dozen times. So we greatly appreciate that, and we welcome him back for an exciting announcement that I think will have implications for our students, our institution, and for, I think, the entire region. He truly has made higher education an important priority in his administration. And I think it's very important to the governor. I don't mean to put words in his mouth, but I think it is very important to him, as far as I know, from knowing him over the past several years, that our students, the students of Missouri, are prepared to step into good jobs upon graduation. And he has also done all he can to increase our funding for both colleges and universities in the state, and to train them in particular for high-demand fields. And as you look around the room, we are on a high-demand field, engineering technology, and it's one of the fields that will be benefiting from his announcement today in terms of the renovation of this space and other spaces on our campus. He has worked tirelessly to help ensure that institutions like ours have the kind of resources that we need to keep going in a positive direction while keeping tuition from skyrocketing, as has been the case in many other institutions throughout the United States. Now, of course, this time of the year, we have other things to thank him for, and we would like to publicly thank him for the Kansas City Chiefs training camp, which is going on as we speak. We're going to talk about another announcement, but certainly it's worthy of an announcement and a public acknowledgement that Governor Nixon was here. He was here to help us get the Chiefs here 5+ years ago, and he was helpful just recently in keeping the Chiefs here for the 3-year renewal of their contract. And really, his involvement on this most recent renewal was the turning point of our negotiation. So we thank him for many things, but since the Chiefs camp is going on right now, I want to publicly acknowledge that. That goes neck and neck with the announcement that we're going to make today in terms of probably the 2 most important things that have happened on our campus in the past 7+ years that I've been here. He has been unwavering in his commitment of bringing people together, such as he did with the Chiefs camp negotiations, to find the best solution for Missouri and for the surrounding area, in fact, in terms of the implications of those solutions. Finally, he is here to make an announcement about a funding initiative that will have an absolutely huge impact on this university. Please join me in welcoming the 55th Governor of the state of Missouri, Jay Nixon.
Thank you. Thank you, President Vardabedian. It is always great to be here with the Griffins of Missouri Western and the Chiefs that are here today, but especially now as you're celebrating 100 years of educational opportunity and excellence. As I've said many times, education from pre-kindergarten through grade school is the best economic development tool there is. The competition for the jobs of the future is global, and it will be won by the states and nations with the most skilled, most creative, and best educated citizens. Among the most rapidly growing occupations, more than half require post-secondary education. The math is pretty simple. Better jobs equal better pay, and better pay equals a higher standard of living for workers and their families. On average, college graduates earn twice as much as workers with high school diplomas. That's why from day one, accessible, affordable, quality college education was one of my top priorities as your governor. We started at the high school level by taking Missouri's A+ scholarship program statewide. A+ provides free tuition for 2 years at a community college for exemplary high school seniors who keep up their grades, have good attendance records, and give back to their schools and communities. I also recently announced that we're increasing the maximum award for Access Missouri scholarships by nearly 25% for students at four-year institutions like this one. We also made strategic investments to prepare Missourians for high-growth, high-demand fields through programs like Caring for Missourians, Mo Health Wins, Mo Manufacturing Wins, and our nationally recognized innovation campuses. And with a total of 3 freezes on tuition, we've held down tuition increases at our public four-year institutions to the lowest level in the nation, number 1. That's right, while tuition soared by double digits around the nation, Missouri is number 1 in the United States for keeping a lid on college costs at four-year schools. But we can't let up, and that's what brings us here today. Last year, I proposed a significant forward-looking investments on college a package of significant forward-looking investments on college campuses around our state, including right here at Missouri Western. And this year, the General Assembly answered that call, passing a bipartisan, fiscally responsible bond issuance that will allow these projects to get underway. I want to specifically thank the legislators that are with us today. You know, as most of you know, 2 years ago, they raised the bond cap amount. We went out then to the universities in the 2 years to get their list from their boards and their presidents of the most pressing needs that would make a difference for the future, and then brought that list to the legislature that this year in a bipartisan fashion passed that, and then we're now in the process of issuing those bonds to make sure that these investments happen over the next few years right here. But I want to specifically thank these two great legislators that are with us today. We call this building affordability because in addition to providing students with state-of-the-art facilities that they're going to need to prepare for the jobs of the future, this effort will also help our colleges and universities hold down tuition. Building affordability will strengthen Missouri's position as a leader in college affordability and ensure our students graduate with the knowledge and skills they need to succeed, not mountains of unsustainable debt. Here at Missouri Western, building affordability will provide more than $4.8 million to make needed repairs and improvements at Popplewell, Potter, Eder, Wilson, Murphy Halls, as well as Hearn Center and the Looney Complex. You can see behind me. Yeah. You can also see the management between the president, the board, his team here. I mean, they've laid out what the most critical needs are, the timing to be able to do those in the most impactful way. That's one of the reasons we went out to the schools themselves, to make sure that they had concrete plans that when we talked to the taxpayers about. I should also note that because of our prudent handling of fiscal things in our state, we remain the gold standard, AAA credit rated, and even when all of these projects and all the projects around the state are completed, at the end of my 8 years, the state of Missouri will have less debt than it had when we started. So during the middle of that, the front end of that recession, we not only held the line on expenses, we moved down debt so we wouldn't be in a bad situation. And as we come out of it now, positioned well to make these expenses and accelerate into the future, it's issues like this with $4.8 million is going to be spent right here over the next few years where it needs to be done. Now, the addition to upgrades, replacing old flooring, drop ceilings, these investments will also allow for the replacement of fiber optic cable to support faster internet connection speeds. My sense is this internet thing is here to stay. It appears to be growing. Cell phones may even stick around for a while, who knows? Making sure that we are, this stuff is really important, especially young students. If they don't have access to high speed, they will drive their speed to get somewhere else to get that high speed. It's just that simple. To compete for students, you have got to be technologically prepared, and that's why these kind of investments and other things like here at Wilson Hall, where we stand, houses a number of academic programs in high-demand fields, including the Department of Engineering Technology. It's really important. These are jobs that are out there, folks. I mean, when we look at the demands and the needs, if folks are in these classrooms, they work hard. They have rewarding careers afterwards. So we're also trying to work with our colleges to make sure that we're getting a lot for that goal of signing up to come to them. And the end goal is to have economic independence for those students. So if we want our students to be prepared for 21st century jobs, we need to make sure they can learn in 21st century facilities that are equipped with the latest technologies. As I said before, I'm going to repeat it, but it's important to note. It's important to note that these investments are possible because we've been good stewards of taxpayer dollars. We have made the necessary cuts at your state. I mean, when we hit the recession, we did not borrow money. We did not add on. We kept our tax burden low. We lowered your state government size by almost 5,000 employees, phasing things out, cutting wasteful spending so that we would be positioned for this day, as the state moves its way out of the recession, to make these especially impactful investments that can accelerate Missouri's advantages as we move forward. So let me conclude by thanking the General Assembly for answering my calls on these investments, because these projects will not only help our students, they will also be a shot in the arm for this region's economy, putting people to work. Because I can guarantee you that the legislators and I aren't going to be here doing the work. Workers and fine companies are going to be here doing that kind of work. And once again, those dollars kept in the local community like that have rollover after rollover. Once again, thanks to President Vartabedian and everyone here at Missouri Western for your commitment to helping students succeed. Together, we're building a brighter, stronger, and more prosperous future for all Missourians. With that, I'd be glad to take any questions anybody has. Yes, sir.
My understanding from your announcement is that what the General Assembly passed was an increase in the amount that schools could borrow under bond issues. Do I have that?
Yeah, 2 years ago, they upped at the state level. This is not the school's bond, this is the state. Okay, so that's an important difference, and why it's so important. 2 years ago, they upped the bond capability for the state to assist our education. Then we took the summer after that, after the legislature left, and we went out to the universities with their boards and with their presidents to get them to prioritize that money. That original bond cap amount went up by $200 million statewide. The first $38 million of that was spent on a renovation for an engineering building down at Mizzou, leaving $162 million to be divided up this year. We got agreement between all of the schools based on a formula, based on their student population and whatnot, on how to divide it. And then we left it up to the schools to set the criteria for what to do with their dollars. And then we took that to the General Assembly when the session started, and they passed it exactly with the projects in it, with that process laid out. But that is not Missouri Western debt. This is the state of Missouri taking this on. That's why we call it building affordability, so that these kind of expenses that otherwise would have to be covered by the university through tuition and other costs at the side, we wanted to make sure we were assisting all the schools to help their balance sheet also, so as we move forward, we can continue to have affordability for students.
Thank you for clarifying. Now,
It's a long answer, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I understand. It's quite all right. And
I practiced law in a previous life, so.
clearly understand. Now, you talk about it being the state's debt. Who's paying these bonds back? For instance, $4.8 million. Is that the people here paying that?
No, 6 million Missourians. This is a statewide bond issue, so this goes into our pool. Like I said before, we have retired hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars of debt over the last 5 years. Even with these tranches of bonds, we'll still be below at a state level where we were, ensuring that we keep that AAA status by keeping our debt very low. So what we did in the recession was different than a lot of other states. A lot of other states tried to spend their way out. We trimmed our budgets, and I want to say President Vartabedian and his folks had to make a lot of decisions too, and I appreciate the leadership that was shown by him and his board and others across our state. But that puts us in a position now with less indebtedness to the ability where we can make these kind of investments to assist colleges and universities across our state.
Can we assume then from all of that that you think the future's bright in Missouri and the United States for the economic reasons that held you back?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, I think it's going to be different in different regions. I think one of the other things we did was lay out a strategic plan. I think when you see classrooms like this and being able to make, one of the reasons affordability is so important is it has a natural tie between folks walking into college and jobs at the end. I mean, affordability is not just how much college costs, it's what kind of job you're going to get afterwards. And so I think that focus has made a real difference also. I am bullish on the economy. We're seeing good movement forward in the advanced manufacturing sector. Obviously, it's been a year in which rain is going to have a challenge for our agricultural crops this year. I tell everybody, if you're going to go out and buy corn or wheat, I'd buy it soon. It's not going to be cheap, I don't think, later on in the year. But yeah, we've seen good, solid growth. Our budget's exceeded what we originally thought the numbers were going to be last year, so we're seeing that solid growth. It's important. I can't speak for other states. I mean, I will if asked, but they speak for themselves. Well, I'm not one of those guys that flies around the country and says bad things about other states. I'm not Rick Perry. Okay, I don't do that. I mean, seriously, we're all Americans. We're all Americans. We're all in this together. I mean, Kansas is a hard state to run to, and our jobs work together. And I think that's especially important. I know it gets jumpy because they don't want to play us in sports anymore. But no, I mean, but really, what you have to have is a regional economy. And St. Joe is part of that greater Kansas City regional economy. And I think it's fun to talk about the sports and to argue back and forth about that sort of stuff. But the bottom line is that when you look at the size of this region, to be worldwide competitive, you have to include St. Joe with Kansas City, with Johnson County, with Cass County, to be, and heading even up north of here. That's what people look at. And so that's why the ties that we have here, both north and south, are important. I just, like I say, I don't mean to make light of Kansas in any way, shape, or form. Most of them will eventually move here, I would assume. But anyway. No, I mean, I'm not trying to be chippy, other than say that we got to work together. And that's why, like we've helped at Kansas State on the significant federal investments that are being made there on food safety. We worked with KU Med Center on that cancer designation, really important for the region, for the country. They've been helpful on a number of things on our side. So, like I said, we can make light of these sorts of things and have fun talking about sports. But when it comes to economic development, when it comes to education, we're going to work together to present a worldwide picture, because this region competes with London and Beijing and whatnot. In that sense, you need the full breadth of the region. Anybody else? Once again, I want to thank everybody for being here. If there's some other topic questions, I'll be glad to take them. I've got a room over here. I'll take those. I wanted to stay on this topic here, though, because this is just really important. Really proud. I mean, when you're in a position like this and you can see longer-term plans begin to pay off because of decisions you made 5 or 6 years ago, and when you have bipartisan leaders that help you make sure that you're getting the right priorities as far as investments of taxpayer dollars that will help keep college affordable for the long run, those are good long-term decisions that are going to give our kids and grandkids, just think, kids can go to school here, be student body president, be prosecutor if they want to someday. It's just an unlimited capacity of what they can grow up to be in St. Joe. Anyway, thanks everybody for being with us today. See you.